We are going to start the second press conference of today, the first round of Grand Prix in Tashkent. And here we have in our studio two grandmasters who just finished their game in a draw. And my first question is, of course, about the opening, because it looked very complicated today. It was difficult to understand what was going on. Everything was hanging.
Well, actually, it's true. Also for us, it was very hard to understand what is going on. Basically, okay, already move 2 was important, because normally Lenier does not play e6, he plays the Grünfeld. So it was clear that I was expecting the Grünfeld. And Lenier played e6, which basically was a big surprise, since I'm playing it from the black side all the time, and that's why I had very big choice to play here knight f3 or to play g3. I mean, Catalan queens gambit, but I also did not know exactly what Lenier has in mind against knight f3, so I decided to go for the Nimzo order after knight c3. Basically, it was clear that black will play bishop b4, and queen c2 was the line that I think I never played with white so far, but I have a lot of experience with black, so I thought that maybe it will be a tricky choice. And since my opponent does not have so much experience, maybe I will have a better knowledge. But as it turned out, yeah, there are so many options for black to go wrong, but somehow my opponent, surprise or not surprise, played I think the best direction, so I assume that he was prepared, he knew what he is doing, but even so it's just such a mess. What happened that to find a way through the jungle is quite hard, and basically it looked more or less logical, I think, what happened, if you can call it logical. Yeah.
So maybe we will ask Liner about his choice today, and actually why he didn't, why he decided to avoid Grünfeld. Maybe because Grünfeld lost 2 games yesterday. What was the idea to change?
Well, yes, I took this bit risky decision to play the Nimzo against Peter, because of course he's an expert himself with black. But I was also kind of, I was hoping to maybe a bit surprise him. Of course, I was not expecting this line which happened in the game at all, and was trying to remember some lines that I looked at some point, but again, it was not so easy, so it's very sharp what we played. I think, yeah, I remember that I was looking at something very similar at some point, but I cannot remember now exactly how, but yes, it looked kind of logical what I was doing, and yes, at some point we liquidate into this opposite color bishop, but with queens and rooks on the board still looks a bit dangerous for black, but I think that I found some precise defensive moves with this rook e8 and queen g6 just in time to change queens, and after this I think it's just a draw.
Yeah, because in fact, yeah, after 22 rook b8, one can suddenly, out of everything, it looked like, yeah, that it's a complete liquidation and now it should be a dead draw. But in fact there are many subtleties in the position. Of course, white has to play rook b1 because black rook should be kept passive, and now rook takes b7 does not work because of queen c8 check. I mean, this is the point. Yeah? Otherwise, rook takes b7, queen d5. This motive appears many times in the game, because after king g7, now already black is threatening to take rook b7, and this is the reason why I'm not in time to play rook b3, which would be basically the ideal move. But now rook b7 wins for black. Otherwise, I would get this, that my rook will protect my f2 pawn, and I will start to press his f7 pawn. So against the same queen f6. Because here after king g7, of course I don't want to let the rooks to be exchanged, because then it's draw. So queen d3 is kind of the move to stop rook takes b7 because I have queen f3, and now I'm threatening rook b5. And if I get rook b5, then after queen f6 I get rook f5, and also the black bishop starts to be shaky. But for example, okay, if black just goes bishop b6 here, rook b5, queen f6, rook f5, and all of a sudden next move bishop d5, queen f3, and black will get into a very big problem. So black has to be extremely precise. Now queen f6, exactly in time, because now threatening queen takes f2, and I cannot protect it just with queen e2. And after queen e2 there is this incredible move rook e8. Even with such a limited material, there are tactics. Yeah, queen takes e8 does not work because of this very beautiful queen takes f2 check, king h1, and now black does not have a check, so it looks like, okay, what is it? But black has queen f5, making the double attack on the b1 rook and queen h3 mate, and suddenly I don't have any intermediate check, so I'm basically ending up with a pawn down position. So queen takes e8 is not possible, so queen g4 is again forced, king f8, bishop f3 has to return, and again I only need one move, rook b5, and then I will come with rook to f5, or if bishop b6 now, then rook b5 is met by rook e5, but I have now rook b4, and again I get now my rook to f4, and black will have a very hard time. We will be sitting here till the evening, but unfortunately after bishop f3 black has queen g6, and I'm forced to exchange queens or to go for this perpetual check. So it was a very, very precise defense from black side. So in fact, not only all this jungle was critical, which has to be checked, I think, with computer. Okay, I think one of the lines that I calculated, and I was asking myself first the question that here after knight takes c3, what happens if I take on f7?
Yeah, I was also thinking about this move during the game. So
because it's yeah, very tricky. Finally, I was not completely sure, but what bothered me was king h8. I was not sure.
Yeah, I know that this is possible. Yeah.
And my line was this. What was my problem? B takes c3, bishop c5, e6. Looks all natural. Knight e5. I mean, if you can call it natural, but it's forced. Knight e5. Now again, stepping bishop takes d4. So queen e2 is kind of my point. Now, if black changes the queen, then it's good for white because he cannot get access to my pawns. But what frightened me was f3, and now queen e4 is kind of forced, and now bishop takes e6, sacrifice back. Knight takes e6, and rook takes f7. And I'm a martial player, and I know how this type of attacks end. Usually, well, if it's not mate, it's a perpetual. but basically, white is never winning this kind of positions. Now, always queen h3 is threatened rook g8, knight g4. So I didn't really see here any chances for me. I mean, a part of getting beautifully mated or whatever. So e takes f7 looked interesting, but it looked quite forced, all this line.
It's also a bit risky for white. Yeah.
But white sacrificed piece for 2 pawns. How much?
Well, I think pawns I have enough, but my king is shaky. This is the problem. Yeah, just put my pawn back on g2 and we will count those pawns. But for the moment, it's really not. Yeah. So after d6, knight takes c3. In this case, I should take this knight on d7. And actually, I was kind of happy because I thought that by force we will get this opposite colored bishop position, and this still looked like kind of some pressure, but as it turned out, it was quite move per move.
Maybe you would like to add something, maybe some variations you've seen.
Well, I think, I was thinking for a long time before playing knight takes c3, because I was also considering, I think, to take on e5 first, but then white has some extra options like
knight e5?
Yes, also possible. maybe it's also playable, I don't know, but I just saw a clear way to, more or less clear way to play, and I went for this knight c3. And actually, I was also thinking about, I didn't know when to play this f takes g3, because it could be played in different moments. For example, instead of knight takes e5, if I go f g3, takes on g3.
Takes on g3.
F takes
Yes,
g3,
h takes g3.
H
Yeah.
takes g3.
H takes g3. And now after knight c3. Yeah, I was afraid of some king g2 idea.
Yeah, maybe I have king g2,
Yeah,
exactly. This is the point, that
that's
I'm not
why-
taking any of the pieces.
That's
but
why
king
it was
g2
important
was-
to not to exchange, I think, pawns so quickly on g3. Just to choose the right moment, because here it's.
Yeah, I wasn't completely sure yet about king g2, but I definitely thought if my opponent uses this order, I will spend some time to figure out this
Yeah.
king g2, because and then suddenly rook h1.
Maybe you have
Looked,
the same idea, e takes f7, but because now there is no this threat f3.
Yeah, but
Just- or it
but
doesn't work
okay.
here.
If I have king g2 and
It's
rook
enough,
h1, I don't
Yeah,
want to
because,
look for anything else.
Yeah,
this
black
is-
also has some attacking ideas, even after rook f7, then sometimes knight e5, knight g4. It's a bit dangerous for white. So actually, this is mostly what I was thinking, when to insert this fg3 move, and I think what I played is then maybe precise, because if I want to go for this idea, then I have to play knight takes e3 first, and after ed7, then at this moment just to take on g3.
Yeah, this was very precise, because first it looks a bit illogical. Yeah, that knight takes c3, e takes d7. Now everybody would take back bishop d7
Yes.
automatically, but then I get what I want. But now f takes g3 intermezzo was very important.
And also my question is, in the end, for Leiner, did you really feel that there is some danger in this position? This kind of tricky moves which Peter showed us. Did you feel that you should calculate till the end every move and play very precisely?
Yes, of course. It was clear that.
How can you? How on this level you can have this kind of feeling that till the end everything should be, calculated? Because normally, we were looking from outside and we had this feeling that most probably it's kind of drawish position. Equal material.
Well, as it turned out, it was equal. Yeah, but
probably just had better feeling during.
yeah, but actually, I think we are both experts in Sveshnikov with knight d5 variation. And actually, from Sveshnikov, many times you get these opposite colored bishop positions, which look like it's dead equal. Mm-hmm. But in fact, the one who starts to get the initiative, even with these small weaknesses like f7 or f2, depends who can attack first, who has first the access, starts to press. And actually, the structure reminded me a bit of Sveshnikov, because I have the light square bishop and I have this f7, h7 targets, but I also know from myself sometimes if f5, f4 is coming, then the f2 pawn was the target suddenly. So
you can become target.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but in this position there was no threat of being targeted, but for black still, yeah, this rook shift I think was something to watch out for.
Thank you. Do we have some questions? Есть ли вопросы?
Just a second. After rook ACA, did white ever consider to take on h7? Was it possible? I know it seems too risky, so I didn't check with the computer, but just
Yes.
like an amateur question. Just taking the pawn, taking on b4 in case queens are changed.
But I thought that, yeah.
King g7 is the move.
Yes, king g7. Then I have this rook h8 always.
Maybe just a danger for white.
Yeah. it could be
Yeah,
dangerous.
because he will never change the queens, yeah, of course. Give me the endgame with pawn up, yeah, it's even 2, yeah, or something, I don't know, but no, it was clear that bishop h7, then king g7, yeah.
We have to show the spectators something. Bishop h7, then king g7, and maybe white is just not in time.
Well, I think certainly not in time, and normally it's also clear on this level if somebody so-called leaves you this pawn on h7 with check,
Yeah,
it's better not to spend any time on it, yeah, because if it would be good, he would never let it happen. But really, I mean, then all the lines are opening, and how am I protecting the c3 pawn? But bishop f5 runs into rook h8,
Yeah.
and I'm getting mated immediately.
Just immediately done.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I was also exactly for some Sveshnikov memories. I was trying to make a move e6 work, yeah, because this is also some typical move that if black takes fe6 and then I get to take this e6, then okay, now I'm targeted on f2, but still this 2 against 1 could be in something, because these pawns are not going anywhere. But actually after e6
There is queen f3.
there is queen f3, which is really a problem, because then queen g3 is threatened, and that's it, and I cannot protect, and king h2 is never the idea, because this f2 pawn is kind of many times a target, but you get the bishop to e4 after you play king g2, and then you play f3 and you go rook h1 and you win the game suddenly out of nothing, because this pawn is the weakness. I mean, these are the Sveshnikov motives, but here e6 just queen f3, and that's it.
Thank you for these great comments. Есть ли еще вопросы? There are no questions, but I would like to ask you the question which I already asked in different press conference. Do you follow the Women World Championship right now at the moment, and who is your favorite there?
Well, I wasn't. I'm not really following. I mean, just now I think last time I looked, it was quarterfinals or something like this.
So, in fact, you don't follow.
No, not really. I mean, with the tournament and everything, it's kind of difficult to find time to. I'm not even looking at news or anything. So.
Just concentrated on preparation.
Yeah,
right
also
after the game.
because we don't have so much time to prepare and rest and.
What about free day? Are you going at least to check some news and maybe go out to see Tashkent?
Maybe a little bit, yes.
What about you, Peter? Do you follow some games?
Well, I mean, little bit. I mean, before I came here, I was more or less following something, but actually all these knockout championships, which are called World Championship, this, I think in men's now it's correct that this is a World Cup, because somehow also what happened to Hui Fan, I think she is clearly the strongest woman chess player. I mean, a part of Judith, of course, but Judith is not participating, and she was knocked out in the beginning, and kind of I felt very sorry for her, because okay, she will play in Vaikanzi in the A group with all the superstars, and she is knocked out there. Then there was another incident for me that the two Kosintseva sisters were paired against each other. I mean, something you also, I mean, it's just very unpleasant, because one of the sisters will be out, and then next day the other one got kicked out, and suddenly both Kosintseva sisters were out.
You think it's kind of unfair, let's say, even for the world champion to play from the beginning this knockout system? Or?
Well, I mean, I think that finally there was so much debate in the men's, and it was finally changed that it is a World Cup, because after all, not like 1-2 games should decide the fate of a World Championship, but it's clear there are some dramatic struggles. For spectators, it's for sure very, very good. But for the players, of course, it's a very, very hard and very big tension, because just one mistake and one blunder, sometimes winning position, you blunder and you are out, and you don't understand why did it happen to you, but you have to pack and change your flight and whatever. So, okay, World Cup is something special, this knockout, but okay, finally it's of course very interesting for the spectators, but we hardly have any time to follow it during the championship.
What do you think, Daniel, about this system World Cup? I mean, I agree that it's better for the players, top players, to change this system. I mean,
Well, I also think that it should not be called like the absolute World Championship, because it's clear that it's only 2 games, and it's not, I think, the best system for World Championship, but it's definitely a good, I mean, an interesting format for chess, and I think the way it is now, this World Cup is actually fine.
Actually, I remember you played this tournament in San Sebastian, this Basque system.
Yes.
Kind of also possibility, I mean, for chess. Also very spectacular. I mean, what was your feeling about it? Tell us.
Well, also very interesting. It was kind of new, of course, for everyone, and I remember that at the end of the tournament, when most of the players got used to these two tables, they were even thinking that okay, this is too easy. Maybe we should separate the tables here, put one far from each other, so that you have to play and then go on play in the other board. So, but it was definitely a lot of fun, and of course I would be happy to play again such system.
No, just I want to remind to spectators that the system was like this. Both players had to play with both colors on two boards at the same time. So it was even blitz you had to play, I mean, against each other. And if you lose a match, it means you were kicked out also, I mean, from the tournament. So it was really fun. And many players said that it was kind of boring to play on the one board after this. I mean.
Yes, I mean, yeah, for me it felt like some kind of rapid chess, because you could not be, of course, you could not really concentrate a lot in the game, so you have to more or less play based on feeling, and like this, more or less like rapid. That was my feeling.
Yeah, but basically I think that all the players like all kind of format. It's always interesting. Blindfold chess is also very interesting. I mean, only that one has to separate things. Yeah, that if you play this, then it's for fun. Yeah, it's for pleasure and you enjoy. But I believe that people would start counting ratings and things like this, and at the same time you have to run, then players would not enjoy this so much. Yeah, but here basically you just really, it's a very interesting idea. You play for free, and even sometimes you see some tournament where they don't count for rating. I mean, everybody is sacrificing everything, and then okay, if it did not work, it did not work. Okay, it was for pleasure, but really, I mean, once it's about the ratings, and okay, this is really counting as a tournament, then automatically the fun factor is dropping dramatically, yeah, and then it's a really serious work for which you have to prepare so much, because behind every game people only see what is happening over the board, yeah, but basically maybe some 3-4 hours in the night analysis, then in the morning also continuing, then sometimes you get what you prepare, sometimes you even don't get anything, because I mean, your opponent surprises you, as so far in almost all my games. Yeah, basically in all the games, after move 6 or 7, we were thinking with my opponent both over the board and trying to figure out things, but clear that we both prepared. So what happened? Well, we managed to surprise each other, and basically this is now modern chess. Yeah, you always try to surprise the opponent. Yeah.
Thank you for these great answers, and thank you for coming for the press conference.